Prosecutor is the only weapon from the entire Rites of the Nine that is great and worth grinding for PvP. Aggressive SMGs, shell of their former self. High-impact pulse rifles, somehow nerfed harder than Radiant Dance Machines. Judgment feels pretty terrible and gets outclassed by most 140s. Aggressive scout rifles, absolutely not. And glaives? Why would you do that? But Prosecutor, along with other 450 precision auto rifles, are on the rise. They've been effective for a long time, and now they've been buffed to have improved forgiveness. 7 crits against even the highest resilience Guardian is enough to secure a kill in a respectable 0.8 seconds. Not bad at all, and a little later, we'll circle back on how we can improve on that for some pretty surprising results. There's 3 reasons why I think this way about Prosecutor, why it's the best PvP gun to grind from Rites of the Nine, and the first up is competition, which ties into 2 more reasons: traits and tangibility. So what do I mean by competition? Prosecutor stands on its own when compared to other 450 auto rifles, the likes of Braytech Werewolf, Firefright, Amit AR2, fill in the blank. It doesn't feel like you're using a tangible downgrade compared to its counterparts. And that's my biggest issue with guns like Relentless and Judgment. Relentless feels like a disaster, at least on controller. The crisp, clean nature that you felt with Messenger is just nowhere to be found with Relentless, and every kill feels like an unnecessary challenge. Judgment is much the same, clunky, awkward, and compared to venerated classics like Palindrome and Exalted Truth, and probably a dozen other 140s that people like, it just doesn't really hold up. Traits are good, but compared to its competitors, there's better options. Prosecutor right out of the gate just feels solid and competitive, and for the most part that bears itself out if you just run a quick comparison against a few other autos. What's interesting is how good Prosecutor feels despite its lagging behind in a few key metrics compared to other autos, including aim assist, range, and stability, which we'll discuss more in a little bit. Sometimes that matters even more than what you can physically see on paper. The traits also do keep up with competitors as well. Really solid stat boosting options, good damage choices, and consistency picks that make Prosecutor a seamless, smooth, and deadly experience. Some weapons have a good feel to them, but fail to make it to that next level because they just lack the traits to get them there. Fortunately, that's not the case with Prosecutor. And before we get to traits, the last facet of competition I want to mention is, well, the rest of the sandbox. With a range fall off just short of 30 meters, you can dance just around that range pretty comfortably and still land headshots, and also be out of range of every other annoying special weapon like fusions, shotguns, and even the rare glaive user that's somehow cracked out of their mind. Prosecutor is fluid, it's easy to use in closer ranges, but it also affords you the option to keep your distance and competitively hang in there with a 0.8 second time to kill that keeps up with most primaries. The only thing I really have a problem with that Prosecutor struggles with is proficient peak shooters with 140 and 120 hand cannons. But I mean, ever since 2014, that's kind of been the story of Destiny PvP. Hand cannons are just better, so you can't really peak shoot on an auto. That's a little bit of a problem. Barring hand cannons, it hangs in there with the rest of the primaries, and it easily floats above the range of shotguns and ever-prevalent fusions like Zealot's Reward if you have the discipline and wit to stay in the right ranges. That's a big part of it. Gotta play in that range, but it's a big plus side to me. As much as I like rapid-fire auto rifles like Chroma Rush or old-school stuff like Recluse, it just gotta be a little too close to the danger zone for my liking. It's 2025, people are moving faster than ever, Titans are still eating a pack a day, and shotguns are just as prolific as they've ever been. I'm a big fan of weapons that give me the flexibility to deal with specials like that. I think Prosecutor does that nicely. Also, before we talk traits, drop a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. It really helps out a ton. I also stream every weekend at 10 p.m. Central, so you can follow me over there if you want to see a streamer losing his god rolls live. It's a good time. Well, for some of us anyway. I can't believe that. Chat, this was a prime PvE PvP roll. Straight to the dumpster.
I'm sorry, little one.
So what about traits? What makes Prosecutor special? As you can see here, there aren't actually that many, about 3 to 4 in each column, but really in Destiny, it always comes down to quality over quantity, and the perk combos here are absolute bangers. I was extremely lucky to land a fantastic 4-trait roll with the best of the best for PvP traits, and this is where I want to get into the weeds a little bit more. First trait I want to look at is Keep Away. Keep Away is a fantastic option on a 450 auto where that sweet spot in range is around 25 to 27 meters. The reload buff buff that you get from keep away is certainly helpful, but even more so is the enhanced range and accuracy. I wouldn't say the range is necessary, but it does help stretch out that fall off range a bit, which is helpful. It's not a ton, but you can definitely feel it. Probably more important is the accuracy though. It's hard to quantify, but it really feels like my shots are just much stickier with it. Headshots come easier, locking down that optimal TTK is also easier. I really like to combine keep away with tap the trigger, which gives a massive boost to accuracy and stability on your initial shots. Considering you only need 7 shots to kill, that's most of the duel. Tap the trigger might not be anything new, but man, it is just solid. Stacking the range and accuracy bonuses you're already getting with keep away is fantastic. It really helps lock down kills, land those crits consistently, and give you a big enough edge over your opponent that could be the difference between a death, a trade, or a kill in your favor. And that razor thin margin in duels leads me to my next trait in question. How many duels have you lost because you missed 1 crit and your TTK just went from 7 to 8 shots? It's probably often enough, and that's where a perk like Target Lock can really help you out. You gotta land all 7 crits against resilience tier 7 and up. I would wager most people are running resilience that high at least. Certainly Titans are, and that's where Target Lock comes in. It takes things down a notch and just makes it a little bit easier for you to get the kill, requiring only 6 crits and 1 body for the kill on tier 7 and up, and only 5 crits 2 body against anything tier 6 and lower, which is super forgiving. Some of you may not need that, some of you may think you don't need that, but be honest, you can't be perfect all the time. Everybody's gonna miss shots or land a body shot when they're going for the head. Target Lock is just gonna pick up some of that slack for you and make sure that you're still hitting that optimal TTK, which is really helpful. It shouldn't be overlooked. And while we're talking about TTK, there's 2 other options you could take advantage of to actually drop your time to kill to blazing fast speeds, and it's really not even difficult to do either. Paracausal Affinity is your easiest way to do this. Ignore all the crap in the description. All you gotta know is any light-based kill will give you a 20% damage buff. Get a kill with a Prosecutor, 20%. Kill with a light grenade or super, 20%. It's crispy, it's beyond easy, and it's a brain-dead 0.67 TTK for 6 seconds after just a single kill. No reload required, no multi-step anything, just a simple and really effective damage boost. And if you want to get crazy with it, there's also Onslaught. Onslaught is going to speed up your rate of fire after each kill up to 3 stacks. 1 kill is going to net you the same result of a 0.67, albeit with the same forgiveness of 7 crits on most targets, so maybe it's not the easiest thing in the world, but 2 kills is going to drop you to 0.58 seconds, and 3 kills brings it down to a molten hot 0.5 TTK. That is fast. I absolutely love Onslaught. It's a great time, and mag dumping is just so much fun. By the time you reach 3 stacks, it feels like a rapid fire auto rifle with the range and stability of a precision, but I do have a couple problems with Onslaught. First, it feels like a rapid fire auto rifle with the range and stability of a precision, so it can be difficult to maintain accuracy while you have a much faster rate of fire. I don't mind it too much, but that can definitely throw people off, and understandably so. It's kind of difficult to adjust on the fly as your gun increases in rate of fire. It's kind of like Adagio. Your gun slows down as you get a kill, and some people don't like that either. Other stats like stability aren't coming up with it to compensate, so it's just not particularly easy. My other issue is that it only lasts for 4.5 seconds. Paracausal is 6. That might not sound like a ton, but 4.5 seconds is just really short. So you really got to work hard to find your next targets quickly. And if you can, it's great. But if you can't, well, then you just don't have a buff anymore. I think you could reliably take advantage of Onslaught ×1, but anything beyond that might be hard to swing since the buff is pretty short, you're going to be running low on health, and finding targets that quickly is just going to be kind of tough. If you can manage the risk-reward well enough, great. I think it's a good trait. It just has its limitations. Now, how good Onslaught is also depends a little bit on the map, I think. If your opponents are going to be closer together, it's going to work much better than a map like Eternity or something. I got to play on Anomaly earlier, and I actually took advantage of Onslaught ×3 a couple times. And let me tell you, if you can actually pull that off, it is incredible. I also paired it with Dragonfly as well, which was shockingly effective. So that's actually a really interesting combination for chain damage that can be just devastating. If you're playing on a closer quarters map with longer lanes, precision autos really do well there. And maps like Cauldron or Anomaly have what you're looking for there. Targets are going to be grouped up, they're going to suffer from the explosion of Dragonfly, and then you're going to have a faster rate of fire. You can really clear a house if you can find a way to stay alive. That's kind of part of my problem, is that every time I got up to 3 stacks, I had like no health, so I was just running out there and getting killed and just seeing if I could get something going. Longer range maps like Eternity, that's probably where you want to pull out stuff like Target Lock and Keep Away. And that's a perk combo that I really like. You're going to get a high level of consistency out of this role with solid range and accuracy, combined with a bump in lethality that ensures the status quo. You're not torching people with a 0.67 time to kill, but you're also not missing your optimal time to kill either. Zen Moment and Tap the Trigger is much the same way to me. A combination that is just an absolute laser. It offers super super stability on both the front and back end of the duel. There's virtually no recoil, and it is beautiful. My go-to for damage is probably going to be Keep Away and Paracausal Affinity, but to be honest, in like 6s in Control, I'm probably going to be doing Dragonfly and Onslaught. It's just so much fun how quickly you can tear through crowds. But Keep Away and Paracausal Affinity, you got the upfront buffs to help you lock down the kill, solid reload to keep it moving, and then an easy damage buff that brings your TTK in line with some of the most feared weapons in Destiny at 0.67 seconds. That is crispy. Do other auto rifles offer perks like these? Sure, kind of, but Prosecutor just feels right. It's got an easy reticle to frame your opponent and just lay into him and secure kill after kill, with the potential for 4 perks per gun, plus, if you're super lucky, the potential for Adept mods to raise the stat ceiling even higher. I think Bungie mentioned a while ago that they were looking at ways to increase or at least differentiate the value of Adept weapons a little more, but I can't really remember. If anyone else remembers that, please comment, because I swear I heard that somewhere. Of course, until I actually see any action on that front, I'll just file away that promise alongside the Hawkmoon will be craftable promise in the that's not happening for another decade folder. Finally, my last point is a little bit more ethereal, not quite as concrete, which is a little bit ironic because I'm calling it tangibility. Prosecutor on paper does lag behind a little bit. Other autos outclass its base stats in aim assist, range, and even stability. 3 stats that, in my opinion, are core to a weapon feeling good. Despite all that, Prosecutor feels great, and that's the difference. Where weapons like Relentless and Judgment inexplicably fall behind despite having a good stats, headshots aren't a struggle, they come naturally, the reticle is solid and easy to track, the recoil stat, despite being considerably lower than some of its counterparts, feels incredibly manageable. I'm not saying Prosecutor is the best gun ever, it may not even be the best 450 auto, but I think it makes a good case, and in the wider context of Trials of the Nine, I think it's really the only weapon that's worth grinding for a good role for PvP specifically. Other weapons present potential, but the sandbox kind of leaves them behind. Prosecutor actually brings something to the table right now in 2025. Consistency, lethality, high ease of use, all combined with banger traits that any fan of precision autos is gonna be thrilled with. I highly recommend the pickup. And if you want to know more about the rest of the Trials of the Nine weapons, I've got a full guide you can check out right in the description, or if you want to kick back and laugh at a streamer getting destroyed in PvP, then I've got that at the end for you too. I also stream every Friday and Saturday night at 10 p.m. Central, so stop by and pick my brain about any god rolls, builds, or just have a laugh as I two-man things that definitely should not be two-manned. Comment with your favorite Rites of the Nine weapon. I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time. Come here! I got slug shotgun. You gotta be kidding me.